I, Azati the sun god's man, king of Adanawa, write to you, Sasura, lord of the lands of Carchemish. I hope you are well. I hope your sons are well. May your gods be strong. I say to you, Sastura, king of Carchemish, gather in your crops. Make strong the walls of your cities. Prepare your soldiers, your chariots, for the men of Ashura and Tushpa make war upon our lands. They seek to subjugate our people, take our property. I, Azatiwadas, servant of Tahunza, king of Dinawa, write to you from Tarsus. Here I have gathered many soldiers, many chariots, men of Tawana, men of Adinawa, men of Tabol. I will take these men to Halaka, make that city's wall strong, carve my name in its gates. Bring word to me here of our enemies' movements, so that I may fall upon them and drive them from our lands. G'day, welcome to part 2 of Shadows of an Empire. My campaign set in Upper Mesopotamia in the year 742 BC. As this is the first turn for the campaign, we've first got to roll for domination points for each faction in the campaign. Domination points represent the overall standing of the faction. It represents its fiscal and military and political power all rolled into one factor. The more points of dominance you have at the end of the campaign, the more chance you've got of winning. Each faction starts with 1d6 plus 5 points of domination. I should mention in the first video, I said there is 5 phases. I actually got that a bit wrong. There is the initiative phase, and then the movement and the action phase are actually combined. You can either move or perform one action with an army if it remains stationary. Once all those are complete, then you have the battle phase, and then you'll have the end phase. Now we're going to leap straight into the activation rolls. It's the first turn. The likelihood of the battle is fairly slim, so I'll post the dice rolls for each army up on the screen here now. You'll see that the Hittite army and their 2 rolls have got a couple of 6s in there. That'll add 2 points of domination to their total score, bringing them from 11 up to 13. There was no doubles rolled, so there's no campaign events this turn. You'll also notice there's a few roll-offs needed, a couple of 5s and a couple of 7s. After rolling those, the order of activation is the second Hittite army will be the first army to activate, followed by the second Assyrian army. The first Hittite army under the king, the Zadiwadaz, will be number 3 army to activate, and the second Aratu army will activate 4th. The first Assyrian army will activate 5th, and lastly, the first Aratu army under Sajuri will act last. So let's move to the campaign map. The first army to activate, the second Hittite army, is based at Carchemish, and I think their best plan is to spend 3 points of domination and increase their garrison size to the maximum of 4. This will allow the city to hold out if the army's not present for hopefully a turn or 2, or at least make it harder to take. And as Carchemish is worth 1 point of domination at the end of the campaign for victory points, if you're in possession of it, it's wise to hold that. It's also a central hub, so you can threaten to cut other armies' lines of supply if they venture past. Imar, Haran, Humar are all viable targets for the second army now. The next army to activate is the second Assyrian army. That will march through Washikani and up to Haran. That is an important city because it's the halfway point between Melid and Shadakani, so if you can garrison it and hold that, then you're going to stop, or at least slow down the Aratu coming down from the north and attacking down that pathway towards Shadakani. Also, once garrisoned, it leaves the second army free to have a crack at Carchemish. The next army is the first Hittite army. A bit of a decision there. It's not going to make it up to Kusan and garrison there, so I think the best option maybe is to go to Samala and get there and hopefully garrison that next turn, and that gives a solid line of supply from Tarsus through Samala right up to Carchemish. So that's what they'll do.
fourth army to activate is the second Urartu army. Now I think that's going to march to Amida. It could try and march move to Haran and attack the Assyrian second army, but it would have to roll on the exhaustion chart. It'd be a 50-50 for the march move. And you really don't want to fight a battle exhausted because you'll take more permanent losses at the end of the battle. You'll move slower while you're exhausted and you'll need to rest for a turn to recover from that. So it's a risky maneuver. If they get to Amida this turn, they could win the initiative next turn and attack the second army of Assyria before it has a time to build a garrison at Haran. Next up we have the first Assyrian army, and I think that's going to make for Amar. If it wants to advance through Hamath and onto Alaka, it really needs to put a garrison in Amar. It can't do it this turn, but can certainly move there. Of course, it's in prime position if the second Hittite army vacates Carchemish, it can try and pounce on that city. And the last army to move would be the first army, the King Sejuri's army of Urartu. Now that could go either west towards Kusan and threaten the Tarsus, but I think what I'd like to do is move that to Hahum. If it goes there, it can threaten Carchemish, or if it beats the initiative of the second Assyrian army, it can march through Amida and attack Haran before they can garrison that city. So that'll give the Aratrians 2 chances of beating the second Assyrian army in initiative and contesting Haran. The danger of that is, I can see, is it's a bit of a dangerous move, because if the second Hittite army at Carchemish decides to attack it, and the second army of Assyria also decides to attack the second Urartu army at Amida, then that second army could get trapped and won't be able to withdraw. So there's a little bit of danger there, but if it stays back, then it's not going to get the opportunity to contest Haran. So I'm a gambler. So we're going to go there. So there's our moves for the first year of the campaign, 742. We're ready to roll for initiative for the next phase. I've sort of outlined the plans. I think it all depends on initiative. We'll go from here. The second campaign season is now upon us. The year is 741 BC. The Hittites will start this campaign season with just 10 points of domination now, as Sashtra spent 3 points strengthening the garrison at Carchemish. The Assyrians remain on 8 and the Urartu are on 7. Put the rolls up there for the initiative for each army. Things to note is that you can see the first Assyrian and first Urartu army both managed to roll 6s, so they'll add a point dominance to each of their scores for this round. You'll also see that the Hittite first army and the Assyrian second army both rolled 9, so there was a tiebreaker there and the Assyrians won that. So the order of initiative for this turn is the first Assyrian army will be leading the way, then the second Assyrian army, followed by the first Hittite army, the second Hittite army, the first Urartu army, and the second army of Urartu. The other thing to note is that there is a double 4 has been rolled, which triggers a campaign event. The campaign event is resolved before any movement. Let's look at that now. Now we've got a campaign event to roll for the Hittites. They roll 2 dice and add it together. Oh, 12. Oh, jeepers. I don't know what that does, but I think it's a biggie. Oh, 12. Poison wells. Choose one of the following options. Poison the water supply to an enemy city, reducing its garrison by 1 strength point. Poison the watering hole of an enemy camp. Mark the chosen army is exhausted. Well, I think we'll definitely go with option 2. It's which army you want to place it on. So we'll consider that. The Hittites have an interesting decision to make. After some deliberation, I think the Hittites will poison the wells of the Urartu first army. He's reduced movement, so yes, he won't be able to march to Carchemish. The best he can do is fall back to Midlid or stay where he is and rest. Moving to the campaign map now, it is the Assyrian first army gets the first movement, and they are at Amman, and they'll choose to build a strength 2 garrison. So that'll take 2 points of domination to do that. The second Assyrian army is the next to activate, and that's Marduk, Tiglath-Pileser's chief eunuch. He's been tasked with creating a strong garrison at Haran, and he's going to spend 4 more domination points to build a strength 4 garrison there. So that's 6 points they've used all up. Now across to the Hittites' first army. Yeah, I think it will build a strength 1 garrison at Samallah. It's tempting to try and march move to Kasan. I mean, we'd have to roll on the exhaustion table, but we could get lucky and put a garrison in there. But I think we'll stick with Salam and 1 garrison point there. The second Hittite army stationed at Carchemish is going to march down and attack Tiglath-Pileser. The first Assyrian army that's building the garrison at Imar. Then we move to the Urartu forces. Sujuri's first army will rest up at Hamha and recuperate after being poisoned. The second and last to move Urartu army will march on Haran and attack the commander of the second Assyrian army. That completes all the map moves for the second campaign season. Next episode we'll move to the tabletop. We've got a couple of battles now. We've got the battle at Amar and the battle of Haran to fight before we get to the end phase. If you're not familiar with the period, I'd suggest checking out History with Sai. It's CY. He does some great short videos on YouTube. He's got one for this Syro Hittite Empire. Talks about Azari Wadas and also the Assyrians and Urartu. So yeah, I recommend checking those out. Just if you are interested in this period, it's a great period of history to game. And yeah, thanks to all the new subscribers, thanks to regular viewers, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheerio.